Mark Stoneman talks the Melbourne pitch and Alastair Cook's great-granddaddy 100-plus runs through his Christmas cracker of a goal at the MCG, ahead of the final Ashes Test in Sydney. Our mood coming away from the MCG was definitely one of frustration. We had put right a lot of the things we needed to put right, and done very well for a large part of the game, bowling Australia out for an under-par total in the first innings, and then, thanks to Alastair Cook putting on a big score, building ourselves a lead. Unfortunately, the skill and determination of Steve Smith, David Warner and Mitchell Marsh scuppered us. The pitch definitely didn't deteriorate as we would have liked, and we were unable to force a result. The surface was up there as one of the slowest I've seen. There was a lack of bounce in it. Offered nothing sideways. You generally get a little misbehavior from cracks on the pitch or one or two balls running on the ground and getting you bullheads and LBWS. But on this pitch things were consistent. It was hard to force breakthroughs. Steve Smith steered Australia to a draw at the MCG with an unbeaten 102 on a docile pitch. You expect something to happen for the bowlers on day one. Bat to then take over for a little while, and then a bit of sideways movement or reverse swing to come into play. We got none of that. So it was pretty frustrating for everyone involved, especially the crowd. I would imagine it was even tough to score unless you were given a really bad ball. Cookie found a way, though. The work he puts in is phenomenal. He is tireless with his efforts and commitment. He is a role model and a legend in the dressing room. Someone we all look up to. It was brilliant to see what it meant to him to get a big score after his frustrations earlier in the tour. It was an innings that reinforced his greatness. It can be a lonely place out there as an opening batsman. You are up against the new ball and fresh bowlers and are not always there at the time when things get flatter and the bowlers get tired. You have to make sure you cash in, and that's exactly what Cookie does best. Alastair Cook scored his fifth Test double century, 244 no. for England in the Boxing Day Test. When he gets in, he often goes on to get massive scores. People talk about daddy hundreds, but that 244 not out was probably a great-granddaddy. I reckon. I remember being sat in the dugout when he scored his 100. The backdrop was the Barmy Army. All stood up, in fine voice, shouting Cookie's name. That was one of the highlights of the trip for me, the emotion of the Barmy Army as well as Cookie. It will live with me for a long time. Brody was quite happy to score his 50 in that century stand with Cookie for the 9th wicket. I think he enjoyed getting one back on the Aussie bowlers. He loves taking them on and finding the ropes. It was an outstanding partnership between the two of them as the game was in the balance at that time. Those runs gave us some real momentum when we went back out with the ball. Brody also took 4 wickets in Australia's first innings in a good match for him personally. Having come up against him in county cricket over the years, I know how tough he is to face when he's at his very best. The energy around him is something you notice. Stewart Broad is 2 wickets shy of 400 in tests. It's quite hard to describe, but you just sense that something is going to happen. We all felt it against Windies at Edgbaston under the lights over the summer when he got on a roll with the pink ball. That's all down to the work he puts in. It is a testament to the characters of Brody and Cookie that they were able to put in the performances they did in Melbourne. They're great for the less experienced members of the team as they have a depth of knowledge and an understanding of staying level, knowing that cricket can quickly bite you on the backside. They also enjoy everyone else's successes as much as their own. Tom Curran had an emotional roller coaster at the MCG, having Warner caught off a no ball on 99 and then coming back the next day to make Smith his first Test wicket. There was real relief and happiness. Getting Warner would have been good, but I reckon bagging Smith trumped it. Tom will want to build on that in Sydney. While Mason Crane will be buzzing for his debut, Mason has put in a hell of a lot of work throughout this trip and has got good experience in Sydney from his time in grade cricket and then with New South Wales last year. He is a natural competitor and is raring to go. He's got that inner steel which you require as a leg spinner, as it can be a tough art at times. Fingers crossed everything goes well for him. England skipper Joe Root confirms 20-year-old leg spinner Mason Crane will make his debut in the final Ashes Test against Australia. England skipper Joe Root confirms 20-year-old leg spinner Mason Crane will make his debut in the final Ashes Test against Australia. There was a bit of chat about ball tampering on day 4 in Melbourne from the Aussie media. We just laughed at it when we came off for rain, thinking, "What's going on here?" Single quote. "We knew there wasn't going to be a great deal of movement with the new ball, so we tried to get a bit of reverse swing happening with throws in and around the stumps, which is all legitimate work. Every time the lads needed to clean the ball, they also did it in full view of the umpires. Everything was above board. It was just an opportunity for the Aussie press to try and deflect and take a bit of pressure off their lads and put it back onto us. Much like they did with the Johnny Bairstow non-headbutt when we had a decent day in Brisbane. It was a non-event from our point of view. We spent New Year's Eve at the Hotel Palisade in Sydney, not far from the Rocks, at the kind invitation of Colin Graves. We were on the rooftop and had a fine view of the fireworks, the 9 p.m. show for the kids, before we counted down to midnight together. Then we strolled back past everyone who had been welcoming in 2018. A week earlier I scored the winning goal in our football match at the MCG. Stoneman ended his footballing woes in fine style at the MCG. I picked the ball up at the back, played a cross-field pass to the right wing and then carried on running down the left. I'm pretty sure Cookie then played the ball in after I gave him the call of back post, and I knocked it in on the half volley with my weaker right foot. Perler of goal. There must be video footage of it somewhere. It was one of my few good contributions on the football field this trip. I've had a bit of a stinker in that regard, but thankfully Crane and Curran have been playing a heck of a lot worse than I have. Follow the 2017-18 Ashes series across Sky Sports digital platforms.